Hey guys, today I'll be showing you something a little bit different here. So today we're back on Datsun stuff, and I've actually had a request to show how the vacuum advance hooks up to the throttle body on a 280Z. Now unfortunately I can't show you how they work on a 240 or 260 as far as how they interconnect to the carburetors. Maybe one of you guys out there with a 240 or 260 can make a very similar video and show how these vacuum lines connect for the people that might be curious. I know there's not a lot on the website about the connections on vacuum lines, so hopefully this will help some of you guys out. But anyways, what makes up the vacuum advance, and really why you have vacuum advance, is to keep optimum power throughout the RPM cycles. So as you give it more throttle, you give it more RPM, the timing advances to keep the power band where it needs to be to keep ultimate power. So if you don't have vacuum advance, if you kind of suspect vacuum advance being a problem, one of the biggest issues you'll have is the car is very sluggish. You give it throttle, it may hesitate a little bit, it may backfire quite a bit. It just won't have good power, and it'll be real sluggish. So that's one symptom. Now that can also be a fuel injection system problem on a 280Z, or it could be a balancing issue on the carburetors on the 240 or 260Z. So there's a lot of things you have to rule out, but this is a pretty easy thing to check. If you do suspect your timing being a problem and you've set timing and it doesn't seem to help the problem, there's actually some ways you can test this. But first of all, let's just go through how this thing works right quick, and then I'll go through some of that. So basically you've got your servo. This is your vacuum servo or modulator, which one you'd want to call it. It works very similar to how a transmission servo works, like a vacuum modulator on the side of a 3N71B transmission, for example, in a Z car or a truck. What it does is you get a vacuum into it, and it changes this plate location right down here, which changes your pickup location, and that's what actually changes your timing, your clock, so to speak, for your electronic ignition module. And I've got a whole video on the electronic ignition, how that works. I'll post a link in the description below for those that might be curious. But if you have a point system, it's the exact same thing. Only difference is instead of changing a position of a pickup, you're changing the position of the points on the cam. So it changes the time when those points close and open, basically. So it's a very similar way it works between any electronic or mechanical ignition system. So anyways, we got this plate. The plate's where the pickup's mounted. You can see that blue line down in there. You can see that blue mark. Well, if I put a little vacuum pump on this thing and I pump it up, you'll actually see that locate. There it goes. You can see it's actually changing. Now this pump has a leak. I'm going to release pressure, and you can see that it actually turns back. If we look at the pickup, you'll see it turn as well. So, whoops, pump it up here. You can see that actually move. We'll release pressure. You can see how that changes positions, which is changing your timing. Basically, is how that works. So if you have a problem, and one way you can actually test your advanced timing or not, on a Datsun, now this is what I've discovered on my particular car. Let me get a little bit more comfortable here. What I've discovered on my car is that when the throttle is closed, so you're idling, you actually have zero vacuum at the servo. And the reason for that is that the actual port this plugs into is in front of the butterfly. So you don't start having a vacuum until you give it throttle. And so that's actually normal. So if you have a vacuum gauge you're looking at and you don't see any vacuum, and then you start giving it throttle and you start seeing vacuum, that's actually normal. That took me a little while to figure out. I actually took my whole throttle body apart thinking it was stopped up, and it wasn't. So if you got vacuum there when you give it throttle, then you know that's all good. Check your vacuum lines, make sure they're not damaged. Sometimes these servos can have internal damage where they just internally leak. They don't have the power to pull this thing. So you can also replace these servos pretty easy. They have a screw right here you take out. This thing slides out, and you can actually just put a new servo in your distributor. But also check and make sure this plate moves freely. These things can seize up and get sticky where the servo just can't pull it. So also check that out. But you can check this with a timing light. So what you can do is actually unplug your vacuum and watch your timing and give it some throttle. See if your timing, look at your timing marks. Then do the same thing with the vacuum line plugged in, and your timing should change. You should see a shift in the timing with the vacuum advance. Is how that works. That's just a real simple way to test it. Now, something to note too, going back to a 76 model Datsun that's a non-California model. So in 76 you had a California model and a non-California model. And the non-California model, which is what I've got, doesn't have the EGR valves, it doesn't have the catalytic converter. The only bit of emissions it really has is the evaporator tank, the charcoal canister. And of course I got problems with my charcoal canister, which you'll see in the video I'm showing the car. So I've got it disconnected, because actually I was having vacuum advance problems because the charcoal canister has internal leaks in the valve associated with turning the charcoal evaporator system on and off. So it was causing a vacuum leak inside my my setup, which you'll see. But if you have a non-California model, you'll have two pickups. Now this is kind of important when you're checking your timing, because if it's cold, I think it's 140 degrees Fahrenheit, anything below 140 degrees Fahrenheit, you're actually going to be already in advanced timing, because there's electronic advance. You have a secondary pickup, and if you want to bypass that, what you can do is actually just take the there's a connector you unplug, and you can actually just plug it to ground it out. You hear a relay kick on, and it changes to which pickup is used. So you can open that up or close it depending on what you're wanting to check. So you can check your vacuum advance as well as your electronic advance. So that's the way you can actually test that. But once again, either way the pickup's used, you'll look at your timing light. It shouldn't matter too much. It's just going to offset where the timing is, when it's in that cold cycle, or if it's already warmed up. It's really what it does. But anyways, let me take you out to the car. I know it's a lot of information. I hope this isn't too crazy. But let me take you out to the car now, and I'll show you how this thing all hooks up. Okay, we're now at the car here. I'll just kind of show you how this vacuum advance hooks up. So like I said, this distributor is made a little bit different than what I just showed you as far as the modulator or servo. But what it does, it has a vacuum line that comes off. You can see I've got a T on mine. I've got mine blocked because that T originally goes over to the canister here, and I'm having issues with my canister, so I've got it blocked off right now. But it goes to the front port of the throttle body. There's actually a port underneath the side. You can actually use a little mirror to get up under there. Of course, once you're looking at it in person, you can see it pretty good. But it comes to the side, so if you're looking this way at the throttle body, it's going to go off to the right just a little bit, and it plugs in right there, and that's how that all works on this car. Now, like I said, it could be different if you have a California model, but that's just how it works on this one. But anyways, I just want to take a minute here and show you how that connects there. Hopefully this helps some of you guys out just questioning these vacuum lines, and like I say, I hope this helps you out. There's I think if I'm not mistaken, on the ZX there's actually two ports. I'm not 100% sure. I think there's two ports on the ZX. One's for the distributor itself, and then one's for the actual vapor canister. And I believe that's how it is on the ZX. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope this helps, and talk to you guys very soon. Take care.